Okay, hi. Um, this is day 4 of my 100-day challenge, and I wanted to clear some things up. I was listening to my last broadcast to you on day 3. I said it was April of 99 that I had deleted my webpage, but it was actually April of 2000. And so when I'm talking about being in the tub in pain, it's actually June of 2000. I didn't want to confuse anyone. So I'm in the tub, and there's a lot of pain, and I get up, I dry myself off the best that I can, but moving my arm, especially my right arm, which is where the pain was coming from, out of my right side of my body, was very difficult. And I am right-handed, so when I went to go reach for the doorknob of the bathroom, my arm wouldn't move, or I couldn't control it because the pain was so overwhelming that I couldn't move it the way I wanted it to. So I remember opening the door with my left arm. At some point, things get sketchy here. I think the pain was dissolving me in and out of reality. I remember Greg came out of the bedroom, and I told him I was in a lot of pain, and I told him to feel my side. And when I inhaled, you could feel this bubbling, this gurgling, which was like that stick I was telling you about. It felt like that stick going up and down my rib cage, like a fence. And he quickly felt his own side, almost as if to check to see if that was normal, like he didn't know, which was funny. But I told him to go back in the room. I'd be back in a minute, and he did. And at some point, I remember crawling on the floor to a telephone, and I called my mother. And my mom does not have a driver's license. Only my father does. She's from that era where a lot of women did not get driver's licenses. And I called her, and I told her I was in a lot of pain. I needed Dad to come pick me up and take me to the emergency room because I still had, panic attacks back at this point. And part of me thought I was overreacting. Part of me thought, I don't know what I thought. I just remember being in a lot of pain. And I told her, and she said, well, your father's at the store, and he'll be back soon, but I don't even have my makeup on yet. And I try to talk very nice to my mother. I mean, I think a lot of people do. But I remember saying, I don't give an F about your makeup. You need to come get me and take me to the hospital. I think at that point she realized I was serious, that there was something really wrong. It didn't seem very long before they got there. I know I had to wait a while, but pain distorts time. And I was taken to the emergency room, and I left Greg at the apartment. I told him, he offered to come, and I said, no, don't. I don't want you to, come. I'm not sure entirely why. I think it was just I didn't want my parents around a boyfriend and have all that ordeal going on. They had not met him yet, so I felt more comfortable. I remember being in the back seat of the car when my father's driving me there, and he's like, put your seatbelt on, and he's a seatbelt fanatic, which I am also. I've inherited that from him. And telling him, I can't put the seatbelt on, I can't sit back. I can't. And at some point I was on the floor of the back of the car. I remember that. And my parents still, I don't think, really understand how much pain that I'm in. But I get to the hospital, and I tell the triage nurse at the thing, how I'm feeling. And they took me right in. They thought I had a collapsed lung. That's what their initial thing was, as they were taking me to X-ray, and they said how they were going to put a chest tube in the side of me, and one nurse said, I've had 3 collapsed lungs, I know how it feels, and it'll be okay. And it turned out it wasn't a collapsed lung. After the X-ray, they found I had a very large mass inside my right lung, so large that it took up all of my right lung, and my heart was deviated out of where it was supposed to be. Now this mass was on the right side, so it was deviated all the way, pushing towards the left. And they took me in for an MRI, and I couldn't lay down for the MRI, so they had to give me another drug, another pain drug, which was an injection. And they warned me about the side effects, and I kept telling them, I just can't lay down, I can't do this. It was just too painful. And so finally they had another doctor come in. They both signed off on it, and they shot me up with something, I believe it was called Pheroin, which to this day is kind of funny because it rhymes with heroin. Who knows, maybe it's close by. But I remember just feeling out of it for at least 5 minutes while they did the MRI. And they had no answers. And they kept coming and saying that we're not sure, we don't know. And I remember asking, is it because I smoke? Is it because I smoke cigarettes? And I thought I gave myself lung cancer, which I did not have lung cancer, just in case you're all worrying. They said, no, you don't. but it's unique. And then later, as the day went on, I was there for hours and hours. They said that I had a bullous. I think that's how you pronounce it, bullous. And they weren't sure what caused it. And it's usually found in people who are in their 50s. And I was only, 24 years old at this time. So they were very upbeat, very positive, didn't want to scare me. And they said, well, we have a specialist we want you to see. And usually, as you all know, if you ever try to get into a specialist, it takes a month, sometimes longer. And this was on a Saturday. They had me going to the specialist on Tuesday. So I knew deep down something was very wrong with me. But I went home, and the girl roommate that I was living with, we ordered Chinese food, which when I first took a bite of it, I threw up, like all over. And I think it was from all the medication that had been pumped into my system, anxiety, stress, whatever you want to call it. I think it was a mixture of everything. And she knew deep down, too, something was wrong. She didn't say it that night, but she admitted to me later that she knew if I was getting it on Tuesday, that something was wrong. And so Tuesday, I won't get into great detail, but I went, and they told me that I was dying. That, unless I had surgery anyway, that I was going to die. I had something called congenital lobar emphysema with bullous disease. And what that basically means is I was born with emphysema. And they don't know if it's from inhaling fetal fluid. They don't know what causes it, really. At least back in 2000, they didn't know very much, and now they know a little bit more. And usually they find it in infants, but it escaped them when I was little. It was not found. And what had happened was the lower part of my lung, you have 3 lobes of your lung on your right side, and you have 2 lobes on your left side. My lower right lobe was completely overexpanded. It was like air was going in, but it wasn't coming back out, and it pushed it up. Your lung's very much like a sponge. And it pushed it up, and it pushed my heart over, and I had been breathing, they say, for about 5 years on one lung. So I had quite adapted just breathing on my left. They think that it has been expanding at that point for 12 years, but for at least 5 years, I was breathing on one lung. And they scheduled a surgery for me on August 2nd of 2000. And I had seen a specialist, at this point also outside of them. I got second opinions because I was scared they were just going to cut me open for no reason. And that's kind of how it happened. Out of nowhere, I was told you're dying. And like I said, the surgery was August 2nd of 2000, and they estimate that if I had not got pleurisy, which is what caused the pain, that I would never have known, and at some point in October of 2000, I would have dropped dead. No matter where I was, my heart would have stopped from the compression at some point, and I would have died. And that's where I'm going to leave you for today. I will pick up from this point tomorrow, and how the surgery went, and all that entailed, and how I flew back into bad habits after that. I'll talk to you later.